National Electrical Code, or NEC, addresses fire safety in electrical installations, and while it doesn't explicitly detail fire-rated speaker enclosures for residential homes, the inspector's request for back boxes aligns with the NEC goal of preventing fire spread. Article 384 of the NEC covers emergency and standby power systems. Section 384.14 focuses on wiring for emergency systems. Subsection A, General, states firstly that all wiring for emergency systems must comply with the code, unless modified by this section. Secondly, emergency lighting systems can't connect to the general lighting, but common emergency and general lighting feeders can connect to the same service entrance conductors. Thirdly, emergency circuit wiring must be independent of other wiring and equipment. Wires shouldn't share raceways, panel board compartments, pull boxes, or enclosures, nor be installed in the same cabinet, box, or outlet. Section 384.20 subsection E discusses back boxes, stating that speaker enclosures must have fire-rated back boxes installed following Article 300, Part Roman 3. Article 300 deals with wiring methods. Part Roman 3, Raceways for Healthcare Facilities, Section 300.21, addresses hospitals, sanitariums, and nursing homes. Subsection B, Wiring, states firstly that wiring in these facilities, except as in Section 517.10 subsection B, needs approved metal raceways such as electrical metallic tubing, flexible metal conduit, intermediate metal conduit, rigid metal conduit, or surface raceway with listed fittings. Secondly, instead of metal raceways, wiring can be installed by one of the following methods. A. Mineral insulated metal sheathed cable. B. Type MC cable listed for the purpose. C. Type MI cable listed for the purpose. D. Other factory assembled, non-metallic raceway systems listed for the purpose. Thirdly, in patient care areas, wiring for non-emergency systems requires rigid metal conduit or approved non-metallic raceway at least 1/2 inch in trade size. Applying this to residential homes in South Florida, while the NEC doesn't directly address fire-rated speaker enclosures in homes, the back box requirement aligns with preventing fire spread. It's vital to consider these points. The speaker enclosure and back box type must suit the home's construction. Back boxes must be installed per the manufacturer's instructions. Fire-rated enclosures and back boxes don't replace safe wiring like using approved raceways and fittings. Always check local building codes and get necessary permits before installing fire-rated speaker enclosures. Regarding wire sizing, remember to consult NEC tables for proper ampacity based on conductor type and temperature rating. For example, NEC Table 310.15b16 provides ampacity ratings for various conductors. Grounding is also crucial. Follow NEC Article 250 for grounding and bonding requirements to ensure safety and minimize electrical noise. Overcurrent protection is vital. NEC Article 240 requires overcurrent protection devices like circuit breakers or fuses to protect conductors from overload. Select the appropriate size based on the conductor's ampacity. Considering voltage drop is essential, especially in long runs. Aim to minimize voltage drop to ensure proper equipment operation. NEC Chapter 9, Example 4, provides guidance on voltage drop calculations. Use appropriate connectors and terminations listed for the conductor type and size. Ensure connections are tight and secure to prevent overheating and failures. Follow NEC Article 110.14 for proper termination techniques. In damp or wet locations, use wiring methods and enclosures suitable for the environment. Consider using weatherproof boxes and fittings. NEC Article 314.15 covers boxes in wet locations. When running cables through wood framing, protect them from physical damage by using cable staples or drilling holes in the center of the framing members. NEC Article 300.4d provides requirements for protecting cables and raceways from physical damage. Be mindful of fire-stopping requirements when penetrating fire-rated walls or floors. Use approved fire-stopping materials to maintain the integrity of the fire barrier. Consult local building codes for specific fire-stopping requirements. When installing wiring and metal framing, ensure proper bonding to ground to prevent electrical shock hazards. Use bonding jumpers to connect metal components. NEC Article 250.92b covers bonding of metal enclosures. If installing low-voltage wiring for speakers, separate it from power wiring to prevent interference and ensure signal integrity. Follow NEC Article 725 for requirements for low-voltage systems. Clearly label all circuits and equipment for easy identification and maintenance. Use permanent markers or labels that are resistant to fading or damage. NEC Article 110.22 requires marking of disconnects. When working with electrical systems, always de-energize circuits before starting work and use appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses and gloves. Follow safe work practices to prevent electrical shock and arc flash hazards. Consider future needs when planning wiring installations. Install spare conduits or pull strings to accommodate future wiring upgrades or additions. Ensure all electrical work is performed by qualified and licensed electricians to ensure safety and compliance with codes. Obtain necessary permits and inspections to verify that the installation meets code requirements. When selecting fire-rated back boxes, ensure they are listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory such as Underwriters Laboratories or all to verify their fire resistance rating. Choose back boxes with the fire resistance rating that matches or exceeds the fire resistance rating of the wall or ceiling assembly. When installing back boxes, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully to ensure proper installation and maintain the fire resistance rating. Use fire-rated caulk or sealant to seal any gaps or penetrations around the back box to prevent the spread of fire and smoke. When routing cables through fire-rated walls or ceilings, use approved fire-rated cable penetrations or sleeves to maintain the integrity of the fire barrier. Avoid running cables through the back of the speaker enclosure, as this can compromise the fire resistance rating. Instead, use side entry or top entry cable knockouts. Ensure that the speaker enclosure is securely mounted to the back box to prevent it from falling out during a fire. Use appropriate fasteners and mounting hardware to secure the enclosure. When installing multiple speaker enclosures in a room, space them evenly to provide uniform sound coverage. Avoid placing enclosures too close to walls or corners, as this can create unwanted reflections and distortions. Consider the acoustic properties of the room when selecting speaker enclosures and back boxes. Choose enclosures with appropriate damping and sound absorption characteristics to optimize sound quality. Before installing fire-rated speaker enclosures, consult with a qualified fire protection engineer or building code official to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Document all wiring and equipment installations, including the location of speaker enclosures, back boxes, and cable runs. Keep accurate records for future reference and maintenance. Regularly inspect speaker enclosures and back boxes for damage or deterioration. Replace any damaged or worn components to maintain the integrity of the fire resistance rating. When making any changes or modifications to the electrical system, always consult with a qualified electrician and obtain necessary permits to ensure compliance with codes and regulations. Educate occupants about the importance of fire safety and the proper use of fire-rated speaker enclosures. Provide clear instructions on how to report a fire and evacuate the building safely. Consider the aesthetic appearance of speaker enclosures and back boxes. Choose enclosures that blend in with the surrounding decor and do not detract from the overall appearance of the room. When selecting speaker enclosures, consider the size and shape of the room. Choose enclosures that are appropriately sized for the room to provide adequate sound coverage without being overwhelming. Consider the power requirements of the speakers when selecting speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures that are capable of handling the power output of the speakers without overheating or distorting the sound. When installing speaker enclosures in a suspended ceiling, ensure that the ceiling grid is capable of supporting the weight of the enclosures. Use appropriate suspension hardware to secure the enclosures to the ceiling grid. Consider the environmental conditions when selecting speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures that are designed to withstand the temperature, humidity, and other environmental factors in the installation location. When installing speaker enclosures outdoors, use weatherproof enclosures that are designed to protect the speakers from rain, snow, and other weather elements. Consider the security of speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures that are tamper-resistant and designed to prevent unauthorized access to the speakers or wiring. When installing speaker enclosures in public areas, consider the potential for vandalism. Choose enclosures that are durable and resistant to damage from vandalism. Consider the accessibility of speaker enclosures for maintenance and repairs. Choose enclosures that are easy to access and service without requiring specialized tools or equipment. When installing speaker enclosures in high-traffic areas, protect them from physical damage by using guards or barriers. Consider the impact of speaker enclosures on the overall acoustics of the room. Use acoustic treatment materials to minimize reflections and improve sound quality. When selecting speaker enclosures, consider the frequency response and sound dispersion characteristics. Choose enclosures that provide accurate and balanced sound reproduction across the entire frequency range. Consider the impedance of the speakers when selecting speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures that are compatible with the impedance of the speakers to ensure proper sound quality and prevent damage to the amplifier. When installing speaker enclosures in a multi-zone audio system, use impedance matching transformers to ensure proper impedance matching between the speakers and the amplifier. Consider the wiring requirements for speaker enclosures. Use appropriate gauge wire to minimize signal loss and ensure proper sound quality. When running speaker wire through walls or ceilings, use cable management techniques to keep the wires organized and prevent damage. Consider the grounding requirements for speaker enclosures. Ground the enclosures properly to prevent electrical shock hazards and reduce noise. When installing speaker enclosures in a commercial building, comply with all applicable codes and regulations, including those related to fire safety, accessibility, and sound levels. Consider the long-term maintenance costs of speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures that are durable and require minimal maintenance to reduce overall costs. When selecting speaker enclosures, consider the reputation and reliability of the manufacturer. Choose enclosures from a reputable manufacturer with a proven track record of quality and performance. Consider the warranty offered by the manufacturer when selecting speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures with a comprehensive warranty to protect against defects and malfunctions. When installing speaker enclosures, follow all safety precautions to prevent injuries and property damage. Use appropriate tools and equipment and wear personal protective equipment as needed. Consider the environmental impact of speaker enclosures. Choose enclosures made from sustainable materials and dispose of them properly at the end of their life. When selecting speaker enclosures, consider the overall value and performance. Choose enclosures that offer the best combination of features, quality, and price. Remember that local amendments to the NEC may exist, so verifying with the local authority having jurisdiction is always recommended. Also, remember the NEC is updated every 3 years, so it's important to stay up to date with the latest edition.